Reconnect and heal today. Welcome to Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Love Never Dies Radio on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network and Dr. Turndorf, Turn on the Love on Binge Networks Television. Today, I'm going to talk with you about how you can head off and reverse cancer. I'm talking with Leigh, Erin Connealy, MD. She's a prominent leader in the integrative functional medicine medical field, taking the best of all sciences, including conventional, homeopathic, Eastern medicine, and the new modern medicine. She is the medical director of two amazing clinics, the Cancer Center for Healing and the Center for New Medicine. The combined 30,000 square foot clinics have become the largest integrative medical clinic in North America and visited by patients from all over the world, with 47,000 patients and growing. The Center for New Medicine focuses on a precise, personalized approach to healthcare that includes prevention, early detection of cancer, and internal medicine, along with yearly physicals, autoimmune disease, natural hormone replacement, chronic issues, and everyone's favorite aesthetics. Dr. Connealy feels that we have to treat the whole person, the patient with the disease, and not the disease of the patient, while determining the origin of the illness. Dr. Connealy created the center, the Cancer Center for Healing, as a result of the epidemic spreading of cancer. Patients receive scientifically based treatments and receive integrative protocols, and she's created an acute awareness for the need to focus on cancer prevention, providing unique testing to determine the early stages of cancer years before a scan reveals it or it's recognized. Through sophisticated cancer testing, biofield and bioenergetic testing, including RGCC testing and comprehensive blood panels, she and her skilled team create personalized treatment plans for early to late stage cancer patients. Dr. Connealy created the perfectly healthy brand of products as well and they're manufactured by state-of-the-art GMP FDA approved facilities. All of Dr. Connealy's proprietary blends allow for maximum absorption with the finest ingredients available. And all her perfectly healthy products support human optimization for each patient. The shop at Center for New Medicine also includes manufacturers that are handpicked and carry the finest products available today. I could go on and on. She's the author of two books, The Cancer Revolution and the Be Perfectly Healthy. She's revolutionized the landscape of medicine. She was named one of the top 50 functional and integrative doctors in the country. Dr. Connealy began a TV series as host of Dr. Detective TV, and that's on the JUL TV television network. That began in 2018. She writes for many publications, the Townsend Letter, that's a prominent medical magazine. She serves on the board of Dr. Josh Axe, ACAM, and ACIM Connect. She has over 30 years experience, and she has taken numerous advanced courses, including homeopathic, nutritional, and lifestyle approaches, while studying chronic disease and illness. We could spend 3 days just describing all her amazing qualifications, but I'd like you to just say hello to Dr. Connealy. You're with me.
Yeah, thank you. That was great. You did that good.
I really appreciate your work. I read your books, and I'm very impressed with your approach because obviously we share the same philosophy, get at the root, right? Don't treat symptoms, don't mask symptoms with drugs. So tell us a little bit about your cancer center. Acquaint our audience with what you specialize in and the Center for New Medicine. What's the difference between the two? Let us hear a little bit about that.
All right. Well, as you mentioned earlier, I developed the Cancer Center for Healing. I think it's been about 10 or 12 years because now today, 1 out of 2 people have cancer and are diagnosed cancer. And that's just what we know. I always tell people, what is it that we don't know if we don't look at?
You said 1 out of 3. So the statistics have gotten worse since you
Right. Exactly. So anyway, and so because of my personal history, I was a DES baby. And for those of us listening, DES was a medication given in the 50s to prevent miscarriage in pregnant women. And my mother was pregnant. I was number 3 of 6 children. She began bleeding, and she went to her obstetrician, because that's what you would do if you were bleeding during pregnancy. And they said, okay, we have a great drug that will prevent the miscarriage. Well, lo and behold, 15 years later, they find out that that drug caused cancer in male and female offspring, infertility problems, anatomy problems, hormone problems, all kinds of problems. So I was going to MD Anderson when I was 16 years of age, which is one of the largest cancer institutions. And I've had many, many learning episodes with my own health. I call them learning episodes. I wouldn't be speaking to you today without all of those learning episodes. And I say learning because we don't want to become a victim to our problems. We don't want to own the problem. We don't want to become the problem. It's a way that we become more enlightened and more empowered and more educated with each experience.
Exactly. Now, you talk about something that's been very near and dear to my heart for the 37 years that I've been in the alternative health world and eating organic myself, that there's a direct link between toxins and cancer. People don't think about that. They think, oh, it's just this thing, nuke it, cut it out, and you'll be fine. But, there's toxicity in the body, whether it's food, air, water, the drugs. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Right, exactly. So yes, we are seeing a pandemic of cancer, and the reason is because we have an extreme exposure to toxicity, okay? Yes, we have emotional and psychological toxicity. Then we have the physical toxicity from everything you eat, everything you breathe, everything that you put on your body, and water you drink, all of it, even as much as we all try to purchase quality products, we're still living in it, unfortunately, just through the air pollution, just through pollution in general, just because of the water supply has pharma water. It's got chemical toxicity in the water. We are inundated, unfortunately, with toxicity. So unfortunately, all of these can have carcinogenic potential. One big toxin that people don't think about is electromagnetic field toxicity. And that is something that has exploded in the last 30 years, because 30 years ago, we didn't have that many computers and cell phones. Now 4 billion people have cell phone, and you can talk from USA to Japan because of electronics. But we are electrical beings, and we need to respect the electrical being of our body. And we're using all these foreign electrical inputs. And people really, really need to read up on this and study this and see how it affects our body, because there's lots of different things that I talk about in my book. But I believe it's probably the single greatest pollutant, poison, however you want to put it, that we are surrounded in ever. Okay.
I wanted to also run this by you because I've been thinking about this for a while. I just discovered very recently that glyphosate ends up even in organic food because the farmers don't use
Correct.
More. So we know that the glyphosate tears up the bowel, right, causing leaky gut, intestinal permeability. So I've been thinking, isn't this connected to the increase in toxin absorption? Because our bowels, which should flush it out, are now reabsorbing, and then our livers become overloaded, right, with the toxins. Then it spills over into our tissues, right? And so
Right.
I think the bowel being torn up by glyphosate is also a real underlying factor in the increase in cancer.
Well, they just said that because they were relating glycophosphate just with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, but now they're saying that it's related to colon cancer. All right. So, and now we're seeing one of the fastest growing areas of cancer or colon in young people because of this glycophosphate. Plus, like you said, the gut is disturbed, so it's vulnerable to more toxicities. It could be candida, it could be parasites, it could be more invasion of more chemicals. So you're right. And our gut is where we reside, our immune system. Right. So we need to respect, unfortunately, we've got to really respect this miracle that we call the body, mind, and spirit, because it's being with the technological, evolution of things. We are living in a world that's never been tested to see what it does to us, correct? Right. And so, and then the tests that have been done, a lot of times, a lot of things are shoved under the carpet and they're not brought to light the way glycophosphate. They knew that this glycophosphate was an issue, but it was a secret. And so just like medications, there's lots of medications on the market that have problems until they kill enough people. Then they say, oh, yes, of course, we should have taken it off the market, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we can take 2 over-the-counter medicines right now, Tylenol and ibuprofen. They're both very dangerous and people die every year. It's the #1 reason for liver transplant at UCLA is Tylenol. So, and then ibuprofen, for example, it affects the ACE2 receptors, which is the same receptor site the coronavirus attacked. And so now anyone who's taking ibuprofen is higher risk because they're taking. And see, these over-the-counter medicines, people just say, oh, yeah, no problem. I could just pop pills, and people pop pills all day long.
Absolutely terrifying. And people do not realize even those, they also interfere with the integrity of the bowel wall.
Correct.
You got more permeability, more toxins going in. Now, another thing, people don't realize that cancer is a disease of storage. So, where the body sequesters the toxins in our tissues and we start putting on fat to sequester it, right? And isn't cancer like a ticking time bomb? So a carcinogen could be sitting there for 20 years waiting to wake up in your body, right?
Right. Well, you are an accumulation of life experiences, okay? And so unless you do something to activate the removal of chemicals, yes, your body has your liver, kidney, and colon. But when we're so overwhelmed with the toxicity and we may not be eating the correct food that activates our detox systems, then we're going to have just overload, all right? Like heavy metals, mercury, lead, and cadmium are not excreted until you take substances to help the excretion. So in the world today, every single person should have an active detox process every day. It could be sauna. It could be once a month, once every 3 months, liver cleanses. It could be clay baths. It can be any number of things. I personally do a number of things to keep my body cleansed. So, but that is just, I tell people, we've got to, as humans, got to catch up to all the technological advancements that we've done to keep our bodies in health. And I tell people, health today, the trajectory for illness is only going up. The trajectory for health is going down in all age groups.
Yeah. Now, let's speak a second about detox, because I'm sure you know everything about, the alternative. And you know how Gerson talked about detoxing,
Yes.
His method was gallons of juice. So, I recognize the value of not eating. I did a 10-month green juice fast, no food. So I was an extreme faster. But here's the question I have that I'm not clear on, and I know you'll have the answer to this. So when you detox and you fast, you allow the body to throw off disease cells, cancer, toxins, because the body doesn't have to work on digestion. Makes sense. And yes, there's so many nutrients in juice and they have anti-cancer properties. Makes sense. But juice is so high in sugar. And we know that high blood sugar raises our insulin levels, and high insulin is pro-inflammatory, and cancer grows in a more high insulin, more inflammatory environment. So how can the juicing ultimately help us get rid of cancer?
Right. Well, that's a good question. I am not a big proponent of anything extreme, okay? So 14 juices a day with Gerson, it depends on the Gerson practitioner. It could be 10 juices, 14. I am if you're going to do juicing, it should be low glycemic.
Exactly. You agree with me on this.
Yes. Low glycemia. I mean, when Dr. Gerson did this, it was a whole different era, okay? If you know what I'm saying. But today first of all, we hopefully have learned more. So I don't believe in that. I like the coffee enemas. I do not like tons of juicing. I personally drink 10 ounces of green juice every day.
Green is low glycemic, so that
yes, not orange juice, not carrots, exactly, not high glycemic foods.
And I do coffee enemas, have been for the last 10 years every day. And
good job.
That's why I'm 90 and I don't look a day over 80. No, but that you and I are on the same exact page, because it kept bugging me. And I know Nick Gonzalez in New York City was copying Gerson and the juice. And I'm like, you know what? Nobody believed me. I did a 10-month juice fast and I got fat. And it was like too much insulin, you know?
Right, exactly. So I've had a patient who was doing carrot juicing, went diabetic doing carrot juicing. So the doctor needs to understand the science. And I tell people, you have to check people to see how their body uniquely responds to what you're doing. All right. And everything also has a balance. Too much of anything isn't good. Okay. Saunas are good, but not doing a sauna 5 times a day is good. Okay.
Exactly, because now you're losing all your essential minerals. And
right.
Speaking of minerals, you know, I'm a big proponent now of transdermal magnesium because we don't observe.
Yes. Right.
And I know that, among other things, it raises ATP production. So this may explain why it prevents cancer, right? Because of the ATP production link?
Well, but look at you. You have to look at the cell with the sodium, potassium pump and magnesium pump. When that pump, okay, so you have a cell, and when this membrane is great with good essential fatty acids, and you have the sodium potassium pump, which magnesium, the flow of calcium and magnesium. There's a very famous German doctor, I got to think of his name. I'll think of it, but he has a phenomenal treatise on this. He was German, and he has a phenomenal treatise on this. Now, we all now know more about that because of just more education, more research and everything. But everything happens at the membrane. Also, I talked about electrical input. Electrical input disturbs this beautiful balance of sodium, potassium, and calcium and magnesium. And if that is not in balance, our cell cannot take care of you, and the cell can't talk to the other cells in cooperation.
That was a great explanation, super good. So, you know, when I read your book, the first thing I saw that was horrifying, I mean, 1 in 3 people getting cancer was horrifying, and now it's 1 in 2. But what I was shocked by was the statistic that we are no better now at curing cancer than we were 50 years ago, right?
That's correct.
That surgery, chemo
and radiation.
Abominable. And that's what people still go to, right?
Well, because, okay, let's face it. When you get diagnosed with cancer, you're scared to almost death.
Yeah.
And so you listen to the doctor. You hasten your decision-making process very quickly, which is not good. And you need to study everything that there is out there. Because science discoveries are changing literally. If you just read Nature, the journal Nature, I mean, things are changing regularly, okay? And new things are coming out. And since we now know that surgery, chemo, or radiation, or some combination thereof, has very little success rate, we need to be looking at all the other options, especially if they don't harm and hurt you. So people are getting smarter. I think, though, people are responding out of fear, all right? And we have to replace fear with faith, because otherwise if we operate out of fear, whatever it is, whether it's corona or cancer, then our body is going to succumb to disease.
Right, because the fear lowers your immune function.
Yes, and raises your cortisol. Cortisol increases angiogenesis and metastasis and everything. So we need doctors, though, that are open to cooperation with complementary alternative medicine or integrative medicine, all right? We need doctors that are open to that, okay? But the doctor is trained by the pharmaceutical company. Even the editor of New England Journal of Medicine, which is a very high journal, the high respected journal, he said that we are driven by pharmaceutical envy and greed. And all the doctors are being entrained, whether they're trained in medical school and they're trained in practice, and they don't know how the body really works. They all took biochemistry and anatomy in medical school, and biochemistry is what you need to practice today, is how the cell works. It's not how the organ works, it's how the cell works, because the cells work in community. And if you know how the cell works, which is Dr. Krebs, the Krebs cycle of energy, then you will know how to fix the problem at the source. And so the doctors have to go back to school, though, once they finish training, which I think conventional training is excellent, because you really know how to take care of a very sick patient, right? So when I have a very sick patient, I know how to take care of them because I went to medical school. I know the drugs I need to use if I need to use them. I know when I need to send someone for an emergency room visit, and I know how to take care of day-to-day problems that I may encounter. Whereas if you're a medical practitioner that doesn't have that experience, you just don't know how to take care of them. But we have to rebuild the body from the ground up. And a lot of patients don't understand that health is a marathon. It is not something one night wonder. It's not like you do something a week or two. No, this is a way of being. This is a way of life.
So let's take a break. When we come back, could we talk a little bit about the things in your lifestyle, what you're doing to cure cancer or prevent cancer, reverse cancer? We'll be back in a moment on Love Never Dies Radio on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, and Dr. Turndorf, Turn on the Love on Binge Networks Television.
Hi, it's Dr. Jamie Turndorf here, and I have a question for you. Are you or someone you love a veteran suffering from undiagnosed PTSD? According to statistics, between 100 and 200,000 vets suffer PTSD. But did you know that there's an arbitrary diagnostic loophole that denies the PTSD diagnosis to vets who suffer a coexisting mental health disorder? Meanwhile, according to the British Psychiatric Journal, it is rare for vets to suffer PTSD without a coexisting mental health disorder. This means that millions of vets with PTSD don't even know they have it and aren't getting treatment for it. Read my new column, Winning the War on PTSD, in mastersofhealthmag.com and discover a cutting-edge, research-backed new solution to PTSD that you've never heard about. The exciting news is this solution is free for vets with PTSD. Go to mastersofhealthmag.com, take my free PTSD quiz right away, and start your healing journey today. Wishing you all the love in this world and beyond, I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf.
Love Never Dies is now on the Dream Vision 7 radio network every Wednesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. Eastern Time. Dr. Jamie Turndorf, also known as Dr. Love, is the #1 international best-selling author of Love Never Dies, How to Reconnect and Make Peace with the Deceased. If you're grieving the loss of a loved one, tune in and find out how to reconnect and heal any unfinished business using Dr. Turndorf's groundbreaking new Dialoguing with the Departed technique. Visit AskDrLove.com to find out more.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
You're listening to Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. If you yearn to get along better with your life partner or spouse, friends, family members, and even coworkers, Dr. Turndorf's book Kiss Your Fights Goodbye, Dr. Love's 10 simple steps to cooling conflict and rekindling your relationship shows you how to turn conflict into connection for a lifetime of lasting love. Find out more about Kiss Your Fights Goodbye at AskDrLove.com. This is Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. This show is for you, the listener. Once again, here's Dr. Turndorf.
Welcome back to Love Never Dies Radio and Dr. Turndorf, Turn on the Love. I'm talking with Leigh, Erin, Connealy, MD, about how to prevent cancer. We're cracking the cancer code thanks to you. So we were going to talk about the lifestyle habits that predispose us to cancer and the lifestyle changes that help us prevent and reverse cancer.
Right. So let's talk about that, because the World Health Organization says that 80 to 90% of illnesses are what we eat and our lifestyle. They did a twin study, 44,000 identical twins. And what was the difference in their outcome in health? How they ate and their lifestyle. So what does lifestyle mean? Lifestyle is, how do you live in a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day a week? What is it like? Do you sleep? The biggest thing people don't do, 50% of the population doesn't sleep. But what happens in sleep? Everything happens in sleep. Repair, regeneration, revitalization. So everyone doesn't sleep today because of their health, what they're eating, what they're not eating, hormones, and electromagnetic fields. But we have to create a sleep sanctuary. A third of your life is sleep. The bed needs to be right. The sleep environment needs to be right. Everything needs to be right. So I tell people, we don't pass go. What?
8 hours. 8 hours.
8 hours. 8 hours. Sometimes people need 9 hours. And that is okay. 100 years ago, people slept 9 and 10 hours. Because why? They were working every day. It was lights out, but they were walking how many miles a day, because they made everything. There were no cars. Everybody did everything by physical hand and walked, etc. So it's very critical that people sleep. Now, water. You have to have purified water. All the water has pharmaceuticals in it. It has parasites in it, it has heavy metals in it, and it has other toxic substances. So everybody has to invest in some kind of water purification, because the water is bad. I don't care if they buy something at Walmart but something is better than nothing.
And now as for the water, just as an aside, so I had understood that the RO water is the most pure empty water, but it's so acidic, and that you really should correct it with Celtic
salt.
Because otherwise drinking just that RO water is like distilled water, and that's not good for the cell. You agree with that?
Right. Yes, it's not enough minerals. We take all the minerals. So we need minerals, because that's how our body is charged every day.
Right.
So anyway, but people have to get water, and how much water should you drink is about half your body weight in ounces, plus if you go sauna, you got to do more water. If you do exercise, you have to do more water. And you can't, drinking a soda and coffee is not water, okay? So most people are drinking all kinds of drinks that do nothing to help their body.
And then sugar drinks, forget it, right? Because the sugar feeds
soda and everything. Yeah, you're just feeding every disease process. Then we have to eat foods that are alive. Our body is an alive being, so we need to be eating foods that nourish, strengthen, and heal our body. And if you're eating dead foods, you are going to feel dead. So I tell people,
you mean raw?
Live means a live tomato, zucchini, vegetables. You got to eat vegetables. You've got to eat fruits. You've got to eat, food that's not man-made.
And you don't, but now like some people believe, you've got to eat raw. Raw has but raw is so hard on the gut.
Yes, I don't eat raw personally. I did a raw food diet for 72 hours just because I've experimented with every eating program, and I looked gaunt. I lost weight. It was terrible. So raw, most people need to eat warm foods, believe it or not. They can make warm vegetable soups, chicken soup. You can make wonderful soups. I mean, yes, there are some great things to eat raw, like a radish. Radish is great to clean out your liver, for example. But I mean, it's not something all the time because it's very hard to digest all of that. But you have to eat foods. You know, Oreo cookies is not on the live food. Okay,
That's not part of a raw diet.
no, hamburger helper is not, you know, eating healthy. Okay,
In a package is a
right.
problem.
Exactly. So we need to go back to the way people made their own butter. They, you know, go back to the way things were 100 years ago, and that's how you're supposed to be eating. I mean, I grew up on sauerkraut and bone marrow and all these things. So, you know, it's something I've known for a very long time. The food industry has manufactured so much food for people, and it's created laziness and what we need to do to take care of ourselves. So,
Devil's advocate here about food. Let food be the medicine. Since even the organic food is so depleted of nutrients because of the, you know, we use the same depleted soil. So does our food really have the healing benefit that it used to have?
Unfortunately, no, because our soils have been depleted, like you said. So very few companies have the time, money, and energy to cultivate their healthy soils. And then the water, face it, it's not purified water that they're growing all their crops in. So unfortunately, because we're living in a contaminated world, there's no way to get perfect food, perfect produce. So that's why you have to do these other things that you and I are talking about. And I'm not saying to become obsessive with it. Now, when you're a cancer patient, I tell people you've got to be a Navy SEAL to your health. Nothing is negotiable. And I tell you why. From one cancer cell to tumors, 10 years. So I'm trying to get you better within, you know, as fast as I can. So that means it's a full-time job, especially my patients. A lot of them are stage 4 cancer patients. And so their body's ravaged with cancer when you're stage 4. So then let's talk about movement. You have over 800 muscles. We have to move because that oxygenates the cell. That helps the immune system, helps the lymphatic system. It helps your neurotransmitters. It's phenomenal. Most people sit, especially today because everybody's sitting on their computer. So they've got to make time now for movement. Exercise tends to be a bad word in most people's vocabulary, but movement, move. Just walking is great exercise and movement.
What about deep breathing to oxygenate?
Deep breathing is phenomenal. It'd be a wonderful thing if you came home and let's say you had dinner and then go do a deep breathing all the way down into your pelvis. There's great little tutorials on YouTube about doing deep breathing to get oxygen. First of all, it's also phenomenal for your balance of your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, not to mention the oxygen, not to mention the stress reduction. So people can do that. They can go take a break at lunchtime in their car and do that, okay? And at the same time, be in an attitude of gratitude, which would be very helpful. Now, then, we're talking about lifestyles. Then we talk about cleansing or detoxifying. You have to do that today because it's not that you're so bad. The world is not great for us, for any of us. Now, each of us have our own detoxification capability. Like some people throw off toxins, then some people don't. Now, we do testing on patients to see how toxic they are. So we do very specific testing to see what their toxin levels are.
Look at the 4 phases of the liver detox,
Yes, everything. So all of our patients do liver cleanses, every single, whether they have cancer or not, they all are instructed.
I mean, if the person doesn't detox well from the mouth down, then they might be a better candidate for the liver, for the coffee enema.
That's right.
Choose a different, what you think would be more suitable per patient.
Right, exactly. And I tell people about sauna, skin brushing, cleansing baths, everything. It's in my book too. I talk about this in my book. So yeah, and first of all, it's just all of your pathways for cleansing need to be open and need to work for you. And I tell people, I had one of my patients today from Saudi Arabia, and he's 39 with stage 4 esophageal. He's doing great. And he told me, though, he says, Dr. Connealy, since I have done what you've said to do, I haven't felt this good in my entire life. And I tell people, when you do this stuff, you will be Hercules because you have such capacity. Your body is in better homeostasis because of it.
And what's great about what you're advocating is, unlike the traditional cancer treatments which weaken the immune system, here you are elevating and strengthening the immune system, giving the patient a better opportunity to fight the cancer.
Yeah, and to survive and thrive. You don't want, the patient already has bad cancer days. Why would we accentuate that?
Yeah.
And so, but the doctor forgets the patient, and they just are concerned about their protocol. Whereas me, how does the patient feel every day? Are they feeling great? Can they ambulate easily without problems? Is their breathing good? Everything needs to be good, because are they in pain? If they're in pain, then it's hard to progress. So we have to get the patient out of pain with natural substances.
You know that I remember reading somewhere that what usually kills cancer patients is not the cancer, it's the treatments.
Correct. That's right. That's been written up several times.
Right. So we're going through all these important lifestyle recommendations. And I'm remembering now something. You remember Philip Nkeo? He was a naturopath. I met him in New York State. And he turned me on to this article that was very obscure, Too Hot for Cancer. And it was talking about the people who run fevers have a much lower incidence of cancer, because when the body temperature goes up, it kills and flushes
cancer.
out cancer, right?
Right. Well, we have 3 heat shock proteins in our body. And the heat shock proteins, like you said, if you have a lower body temperature, your immune system drops and your production of pancreatic enzymes drop. So you always want to be a good temperature. That's why infrared sauna or heat therapies are very good. In Germany and Europe, they've been doing hyperthermia for years and years and years as an addition. Now we do hyperthermia. We do local hyperthermia and then infrared sauna. We don't have in Europe, they have the whole body hyperthermia.
You use infrared or far infrared?
Pardon me?
Do you use infrared or far infrared?
Oh, both.
Use both, because one's better for deep tissue penetration,
right.
One's better for detox, so you combine both. Well,
exactly.
You really are on the top of the game here. I mean, and you can tell I know a lot about this topic, and I ask you these questions, and you're like, yes, both. And it's like awesome to hear what you're doing and how cutting edge you are. Now, in the next segment, I thought it would be also good for us to talk a little bit about the cancer personality, because that's an important component, because you treat the whole person. And I would like to talk about that a little bit. Is there anything else? We have like a minute left in this segment. Is there anything else in lifestyle? We didn't talk about the sugar thing, about don't eat sugar, right?
Right. Well, let's talk about just a little bit, because I think your lifestyle includes what is your daily stress.
Okay.
So, and what are you doing every day? Because every day everybody has stress, every day. And especially in the fast-moving world, and we have to listen to this and hear this and read this and do this and perform this and write this report, and everybody is way too busy. Okay.
And now I'm going to stress you out by telling you we have to take a break. But I'll be back with you in a moment.
Hi, it's Dr. Jamie Turndorf here, and I have a question for you. Are you or someone you love a veteran suffering from undiagnosed PTSD? According to statistics, between 100 and 200,000 vets suffer PTSD. But did you know that there's an arbitrary diagnostic loophole that denies the PTSD diagnosis to vets who suffer a coexisting mental health disorder? Meanwhile, according to the British Psychiatric Journal, it is rare for vets to suffer PTSD without a coexisting mental health disorder. This means that millions of vets with PTSD don't even know they have it and aren't getting treatment for it. Read my new column, Winning the War on PTSD, in mastersofhealthmag.com and discover a cutting-edge, research-backed new solution to PTSD that you've never heard about. The exciting news is this solution is free for vets with PTSD. Go to mastersofhealthmag.com, take my free PTSD quiz right away, and start your healing journey today. Wishing you all the love in this world and beyond, I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf.
Love Never Dies is now on the Dream Vision 7 radio network every Wednesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. Eastern Time. Dr. Jamie Turndorf, also known as Dr. Love, is the #1 international best-selling author of Love Never Dies, How to Reconnect and Make Peace with the Deceased. If you're grieving the loss of a loved one, tune in and find out how to reconnect and heal any unfinished business using Dr. Turndorf's groundbreaking new Dialoguing with the Departed technique. Visit AskDrLove.com to find out more.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
You're listening to Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. If you can't stop crying over the bodily loss of a loved one, Dr. Turndorf's #1 international bestseller, Love Never Dies, How to Reconnect and Make Peace with the Deceased, will show you how to toss out the tissues and transform your grief into joy using her groundbreaking new Dialoguing with the Departed technique that enables you to reconnect and even heal unfinished business with those in spirit without the assistance of a medium, channeler, or psychic. Sign up for Dr. Love's free newsletter at AskDrLove.com and receive an exciting gift, a free excerpt of Love Never Dies. And now, back to Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf.
Welcome back to Love Never Dies Radio on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network and Dr. Turndorf, Turn on the Love on Binge Networks TV. I'm talking with the wonderful Leigh, Erin, Connealy, MD. We're talking about how stress is one of the factors that causes cancer. And if you don't de-stress, you raise your risk of cancer. So you didn't finish that point.
Right. So I think every day before you get out of bed, we have to program our mind how the day is going to be. All right. You are always going to have stress. I tell people, life is like literally a roller coaster. You're going to have lots of stress, and then you're going to have times of no stress. That is everyone's life. I've been seeing patients for 34 years. I don't know anyone who just lives in just a straight line. There's no such thing. Life is dynamic. What is dynamic? Up and down. And so stress develops resiliency, okay? And if people could look at that as stress creating this very powerful being, you flourish under fire. And so we will need to welcome the stress and say, okay, what am I going to learn from this stress? Okay. But I program my mind every day. Before I get out of bed, I say, I am thankful, and I do affirmations every day. Thank you, God, that I get to wake up today. Okay. Thank you, God, that I get to go somewhere today. Thank you, God, for my amazing immune system. Thank you, God, for divine exponential healing. And I go on and on and on about everything in my life. I need divine direction and wisdom and discernment every day. I need the invincible possibilities to help my patients. So I am in that mode. Literally, that's how I live my day. I do not know how other people can live through their day without doing something like this. So I also do meditation every day. I do meditation, though, at the end of my day, because at the end of my day, I want to be calm, relaxed. when I charge my day in the morning, I want to be up, let's go, let's do. But I want to direct it every day with positive affirmations. And everybody, I give all of my patients a list of healing, because they don't know how to do it themselves. So I give them a list of healing affirmations, and I tell them they need to do this 3 to 4 to 10 times a day, because you become what you think about most of the time.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Right. And I'm sure you experience resistance when you talk about altering the diet, especially giving up the foods that we are addicted to, the sugar, the sugary sodas. But do you have less resistance because your patients are so sick and so frightened?
Correct. Well, I will tell you, for past 5 or 6 years, that I have asked every single cancer patient what they have changed since their diagnosis. And hands down, without fail, 100%, what do you think they've asked and said to me? They said they've changed their eating. They eat healthy. They've cut out sugar, cut out sodas, cut out everything, and are eating fresh food, and they're cooking their food. So every single person now, today, so that means subconsciously they knew it before, but they overrid they lived in their subconscious instead of being conscious about their decision making.
Right. Now, here's another thing, the keto diet, right? So I lived with 20 grams or less of carbs per day. Very extreme, okay? Most people don't need to be that low, but I was just predisposed to high insulin. It was the only way to deal with it, right?
Right.
So when you go low in your sugars and your carbs, you create a better environment, right? For a less fertile environment to grow cancer.
That's right, because cancer, Otto Warburg got a Nobel Prize in 1931 showing that cancer cells use sugar. Right. And they're in an anaerobic environment and an acidic environment.
Right. So here's the thing. When you're over 50, they say that you run the risk of going into like a vegetative state when you're in ketosis for a long time, and then you slow your thyroid. And in your book, you say that a low thyroid raises your risk of cancer. So how do you handle those two contradictory realities?
Well, actually, first we have to understand that there's no one size fits all. Number 2, most keto programs need to be broken every couple of weeks.
Yes.
And so you break the cycle with eating differently, okay, for a week, all right? Then you can go back to keto. You don't want to do always keto. You want to break it up.
To the thyroid, right?
Exactly. And then you check the patient's blood. Like, that's a routine blood testing for me, is checking thyroid function. So it's nothing unusual for me to make sure that I'm checking the thyroid on a regular basis. Plus, I also check people's basal body temperature. Mm-hmm. So I always do that too. So I do the both. So I always tell people we have to find the right eating program for each person, because like not everybody is a keto patient.
Absolutely.
Right? I tell people there's some cardinal rules. You got to get off sugar. You have to get off liquids that are not healthy for you. And you have to get off the high carbohydrate loads, like bread and rice and pasta and potatoes, okay?
You favor being a fat burner for fuel rather than a sugar burner, even if it's natural sugars. You favor being a fat burner.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Same page,
and the industry, several years ago, we had the low-fat, non-fat industry.
And then everybody got so heavy and all that high insulin, right? Right.
Correct, because they just added sugar to it and poisoned the Americans.
Absolutely. Where have you been all my life? It's like you and I, we are totally on the same page. It's just awesome.
Thank you.
And to hear what you're doing for the world. And it's so obvious that your own struggle became your mission.
Right. It did.
Your mission. And now you talk about circulating cancer cells, right?
Right. Well, let's talk about cancer and how it works, okay? First of all of us have cancer cells every day being produced. Yes. But we have this thing called the immune system, amazing immune system, that can kill cancer cells. Now, in today's world, we are more compromised because of the world we're living in. So now we have to take more precautions. Now, when you're 20 years old, 25 years old, you're most likely not to have cancer. But I will say, I do see patients in their 20s with cancer. So I don't like to say that anymore because we want to say, oh, we don't want to say to a patient, oh, you're 25 years, it's nothing. We don't want to say that because I've had several patients that are very young that have cancer. So, and I see them more every week. So I think we now have to be so proactive and preventive with our patients. So I have always been so proactive with this because of my own personal history. So I developed an algorithm on how to figure out if patients have cancer. Like I said, one cancer cell turns into a lump at year 8 or 10. So the most important thing is we have a methodology of determining if someone has cancer even in year 1. So what we do is I do a panoramic blood test of everything that every doctor should be doing because, like I said, today there's no warranty at all. There used to be a warranty, but now there's not. And so you've got to check inflammation levels, D levels, sugar levels, hormone levels, and everything because this all contributes to the corporation of the harmony of the body. So you got to make sure all these are working. Then you've got to address, like I said, the lifestyle factors. What about if people have unresolved emotional trauma, which most people do? So you've got to make sure that is not a conflict shock in your brain that's causing a landing page in your body. So we have to make sure, and if you don't sit down and partner with your patients, you're not going to figure that out, all right?
So true. I've never heard an oncologist say what you're saying. I had a patient who came to me and she kept getting cancer recurrence every couple of years. And I realized I came to call it a cancer personality. You know how when we swallow our anger and
right.
turn back on the self. And so then that buried anger literally attacks your tissues and becomes an internal cancer. And I said to her, you know, if you don't get in touch with this anger that's inside you and verbalize it, you're going to keep getting cancer. And so she got in touch, verbalized it, and she stopped getting cancer, hasn't had it for 20 years. So,
right. Well, that's true. So every person that comes in here with cancer, it is mandatory to do the emotional unraveling of your body. And I always tell people, it's not just your life that you are concerned about emotional issues. We inherit 9 generations of emotion from our prior ancestors.
Yeah, that's a whole, like a cellular memory thing.
It's a cellular memory. And so we may not, and then also, who knows what happened when they were 1 year old? No one knows that. So once you work with someone, and we use a very effective, rapid methodology to get people's emotional countenance in the right place.
You're talking about like the EFTs, the neural...
Well, EFTs we do, but we do something called EVOX, which I talk about in my book. And so, if you go to a psychologist, it may take years. We don't have years. We need to get patients well within a month, okay? Meaning very rapidly because people want to get well faster. But anyway, going back to prevention. So anyway, I do the panoramic view. Then I can do all these tumor markers that indicate, like, for example, you talked about oxygen and breathing. There's a blood test you can check to see if people have hypoxia, which is low oxygen. Then you can check people if they have tumor markers that are elevated. Then there's a marker called quantitative HCG, which is a marker for malignancy. Then we can do liquid biopsies also. Then we can do bioenergetic testing. So I tell people in a couple of weeks with blood test and you can figure out really what is going on with the person.
That is marvelous. And then you know how to fix it because you've got the data.
Right. And we don't want to wait until we have a disease, whether it's cancer, heart disease, diabetes.
That's the whole point. With this screening, you can prevent. You could see a snapshot in 10 years, you will have cancer if we don't correct these things. I could talk to you for 10 years. We only have 2 minutes left, if you can believe. And I want to make sure everyone knows how to find you. Whatever it is that we can promote for you in the last 2 minutes, would you please,
Okay, sure. Well, we are in Orange County, California, in Irvine. People can look me up on YouTube, because I have lots of YouTube, on Instagram. I'm always doing podcasts. I'm always doing education. I did write the book, The Cancer Revolution. People use it as a handbook for just living healthily, but also I've had patients just take this book and get better with their cancer. I also wrote a book called Be Perfectly Healthy. And this talks about everything about what pans to use, to adrenal glands, to plastics, to everything. And so I tell people, look, we got to be an army here. And we need as many health ambassadors around the world that we can attract, so we can transform the elevation and vibration of humanity.
You can't, no more lofty a goal could you have ever imagined. So, but we went a long way to creating a pebble in the proverbial energetic pond today. This was a wonderful, wonderful interview. It's really been a pleasure meeting.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And thank you for singing the same song I am.
And you are welcome back anytime. Anytime you want to promote anything, any book or product or whatever, you just reach out to me and my door is open to you.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for being part of my journey today.
Wonderful. And so in the last minute, one parting sentence to remember.
All right. Never give up on yourself and never give up on anyone else. We all have a tendency to say, oh, throw the towel in. But that one last step may be the revelation of your life or someone else's life.
Wonderful. And you are offering such opportunity for people to take another step, open a new door to healing ourselves and our planet. See you next time on Love Never Dies Radio and Dr. Turndorf, Turn on the Love. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.